What up? This your boy Roy Jones Jr. and you're watching Lights Out.
This is Faisal Khan for Lights Out, proudly sponsored by Spartans Law. Delighted to be joined by Sharif Hasim Rahman, all the way from the United States of America. Sharif, good afternoon. How are you doing?
Good afternoon. Thank you for having me. I'm doing good. How you feeling?
I'm very well. Thank you for asking, and thank you for taking your time out to speak to us. Sharif, let's just get started. My understanding is as of last night, you moved to 7-0. You put in a very, very good performance. Just talk to me about your fight last night and how happy are you with the progress you made during your fight last night?
I feel good about it, man. I feel like I did what I was supposed to do with a guy, that was not on my level. So I just didn't want to allow him a chance to get comfortable. So I know I can box. I've been boxing my whole life, but I know I can bang too. So I just wanted to show people that I don't have to go out there and take a step back. I can go forward. I can go backwards. It's about being versatile as a fighter. So I'm just happy to get another win and advance my career.
I mean, looking at your social media, three-time national champion, you're obviously an artist, a model. You've got so much going for you in your career, but obviously boxing's been a huge part of your family. Your brother is also a boxer who I've spoken to. Your father's a former heavyweight world champion. Just how happy are you with the way things are currently going for you right now? And with you moving to 7-0, when can you start looking at a potential world title shot in your career?
Inshallah, I'm looking at a potential title shot in the next year or two. I know right now Charlo has all four belts at 154. So if he hangs around for another year or two, then I'll look forward to challenging him for all of the titles. And if he vacates, then it's going to be a free for all. It's going to be a bunch of different titles going out. And either way it goes, it doesn't matter. I don't care who has them. I know I want all the belts. So in the next year or two, I'm fighting actually for a junior title by the end of this year, and it'll get me in the rankings. It'll get me that much closer.
As I said, whenever I speak about boxing, the 154-pound division is a division that's, gaining excitement once again. We just saw Jamal Charlo become the undisputed champion. We got Brian Castano, who's still a name and still a force to be reckoned with. You got good fighters such as Tim Zhu. You've also got Liam Beefy Smith, who's putting his name back into the mix. You're still at the
Mhm.
early stages of your career, but how far off are you from being confident and ready to get into the ring with those names in the division?
Well, I'm already comfortable, and I feel like I'm ready for anybody. But as a professional, and my father has been through this, so he's not just gonna throw me into a world title fight at 10-0. You know what I'm saying? I'll be somewhere between 15 and 20. So in the next year and a half, somewhere between 15 and 20, we'll be ready to fight for the world title. Because there's things that you need to learn, and like even in my last fight, I fought at the fight before this one. Before yesterday, I fought a guy who was 7-1, and his only loss was to Nico Ali Walsh. He lost a majority decision, and so he's not a bad fighter. And I had an easy day at the office with him, but he headbutted me and cut my whole eyebrow. Like you can't really see it now. Alhamdulillah, it healed well, but my whole eyebrow was split open. Like you never know. Sometimes you have to go through these certain things in boxing to build you as a professional to be ready for a championship bout. It's not just about having the potential or the talent. You have to have a certain amount of experience. So I'm gonna keep on doing what I'm supposed to do and fighting. And in the next, like I said, between 1 and 2 years, I'll be looking to challenge for a world title and become world champion. Inshallah.
Your name is obviously well known in the boxing world. I mean, every time we talk about heavyweight boxing, one of the famous moments you have to talk about is, of course, your father's stunning knockout victory over Lennox Lewis. Another
Mhm.
memorable moment in the heavyweight division. But also, as I mentioned, you've got other family members in the boxing world right now. Your brother Hasim Rahman Jr., who I've spoken to in the past, is scheduled to take on Jake Paul in what promises to be a very fascinating matchup. You got one side Jake Paul, who was an influence on YouTube, who's now sort of made his way into the boxing world, and he's done pretty well so far. And then there's your brother, who's obviously grown up in boxing. You know, first of all, what do you think the decision behind your brother is to take the fight with Jake Paul? I know the fight with Tommy Fury is now not going ahead, but your brother could have taken a different route, but he's decided to go with Jake Paul. What's the reason why he's taking the fight with Jake Paul?
I mean, look, if Jake Paul called you and said we want to fight you right now, gave you an opportunity to be the person to dethrone somebody who's, he's very popular on the internet. The man runs the internet. So, you know what I'm saying? Like it's a golden opportunity. And sometimes these type of things don't come around twice. So he's a fighter. It doesn't matter who called him. If it's an opportunity like that, he was gonna take it, whether it be Jake Paul, this guy, he's my brother, he's not gonna back down from a challenge. I mean, think about it. Even in his last fight, at 12 fights, he fought someone who's 19-0 with 17 knockouts. Who does that? Not a lot of people do something like that. So when it was a no-brainer, you know. It's come on now, and that guy's a YouTuber. He's not even a real boxer. Like, so why wouldn't he take it?
I mean, obviously, as I said, Jake Paul's made he's roughed up a few feathers in the boxing world. He's a very confident individual. He's called out anybody and everybody, starting from Canelo all the way down to some of the guys at the UFC, Kamaru Usman, Jorge Masvidal. He's a very confident guy, and he's done well in terms of the promoting side of boxing. But do you think perhaps because of the caliber of fighters he's beaten, he may have just taken one step too far in terms of taking on your brother?
He definitely has, because what caliber of fighters has he beat? Tyron Woodley, a very first of all, my brother's big. My brother's bigger than Jake Paul. The first time we're seeing him fight someone who's either his size or bigger. Everyone else has been much smaller, like Nate Robinson, the Anderson guy, Tyron Woodley. Don't get me wrong, I'm a fan of Tyron Woodley as a UFC fighter. I used to knock people out with him on UFC on the game all the time, watch his fights. But that's UFC, that's MMA. It's a completely different art of boxing. So when you take him out his element, and he's older now, he's not the same fighter he was, and he's not a boxer. He hasn't fought any boxers that know the sweet science, because the art of boxing is hit and don't be hit. It's not just who can hit the hardest or who can do this better. It's about who's the smarter fighter, who's gonna hit and not be hit. So I respect Jake Paul because he's getting in the ring. I respect any man to get in the ring, but I don't have respect for his boxing ability. I don't have him high up on my list at all. He's just another guy that's popular on the internet, and he's doing some good things for boxing though. Like I respect the fact that he does stuff like give Serrano a certain amount of his purse if she didn't make this much, or breaks down his purse with these people. Like, he's doing some commendable things for the sport. So I'm not mad at him. But it's just that he bit off more than he can chew. He's not better than my brother. And that's what the world's gonna find out August 6th.
I mean, I've said it obviously before during the interview that you guys come from a boxing background. Your father was the former heavyweight champion of the world. Is there extra added pressure now onto your brother going into his fight with Jake Paul? Because the expectation is your brother's the son of a former world champion. He's been fighting pretty much all of his life, and we've all been wanting to see Jake Paul in the ring with an actual boxer. Does that add extra pressure to your brother?
Well, I'm sure it adds pressure, but any opportunity, any big opportunity, we've been preparing for this mentally and physically for our whole lives. So any opportunity that breeds greatness, it comes with pressure. So it's about channeling the pressure and using that to motivate you and using it as fuel to the fire. It's gonna be pressure no matter what. If he was fighting any champion or anybody popular, it's gonna be pressure, but it doesn't matter because it's how you handle the pressure. It's gonna be pressure on Jake Paul as well. Jake Paul don't want to lose in front of the internet as much shit as he talks. Excuse my language, but he don't want to lose. So it's gonna be pressure on him too, and he's gonna be across the ring from my brother. He'll be like, "Oh, this dude, he kind of big. He look kind of mean. He like, I don't know. This ain't about Yeah, Jake Paul is gonna feel pressure as well. So it don't matter. We're gonna see who deals with the pressure better. I'm confident in what my brother can do, and I know for a fact he's gonna be ready because I'm gonna be right there with him, every step of the way. So, yeah.
as I said, the highlight of your family has to be obviously your father's world title win over Lennox Lewis. Now, I'm pretty sure you
Mhm.
still keep an eye on the rest of the heavyweight division, just like your father does. We've currently
Yeah.
got two world champions, Tyson Fury, Alexander Usyk, but we've also got a rematch to look forward to in Anthony Joshua and Alexander Usyk. What's your thoughts on the current heavyweight division, Sharif?
I like it. I like where it's at right now. I like Usyk a lot. I actually predicted that Usyk would be Joshua, just because, like I said, it's not about who's bigger and who's stronger. I look at the sweet science of boxing. I know I saw the way Usyk picks people apart. I knew that his footwork and his angles would be too much, especially being a southpaw. And I thought Joshua was a little too stiff to pull it off. Before the fight, I tweeted it, I said it, I posted it that I thought Usyk would win. Tyson Fury is a once in a generation type of fighter, a different kind of specimen. So he's in a league of his own. Deontay Wilder's a hell of a fighter. He's entertaining. He's gonna give it his all. He's got dynamite in his right hand, and I like where the heavyweight division is right now because maybe 10 years ago it was fading away when the Klitschko's were just dominated. It was kind of a boring division, and the Klitschko's are great fighters. No knock on them. It's not their fault that they were dominant, but it wasn't a lot of great heavyweights to choose from. Like when I was growing up and seeing the 90s and the 2000s era, like 80s, 90s, 2000s. I was born in 96, but seeing my father, I could watch his tapes. His first title fight was on my first birthday. It was a minor title, but still like that crop of heavyweights from that era, those are the ones that I studied and watched and that type of every weight class I watched. But the heavyweights were a lot better back then, but I feel like it's picking back up now. You got more speedy heavyweights, you got more giant heavyweights, you got more, it's getting back to a good time, I believe.
I mean, we will always compare the great heavyweights. We'll always say what would have happened if Mike Tyson would have fought Muhammad Ali and if Tyson Fury had come into the 70s and 80s era. But your father, as I
Yeah.
mentioned again, former world champion. How do you think your father would have done in this current heavyweight division as of today?
Man, I think he would for sure be a champion because my dad was a champion in one of the toughest eras, and he beat arguably the greatest heavyweight ever. Lennox Lewis is not a easy guy to beat, obviously, and so I think that because one thing about my dad, he has a great equalizer in his power. His power is like he's top five strongest heavyweights ever, I believe. And if you ask anyone who's fought him, they'll tell you the same thing. Like, man, that man hits like a brick. It's like you get hit with a truck. So there's no one that you could say he couldn't possibly knock out. He could have knocked out anybody at any given time. And my dad has some good boxing ability as well. So it's not like he was just a one trick pony. Like if you watch him fight David Tua, he put on a beautiful boxing clinic. You watch some of his fights, he when he chooses to box, he can box very well. But it's just that he was so strong. He was so strong as like an ox. So he didn't even care to box a lot of people. He just know when I hit you, I'm gonna hurt you and I'm gonna finish you. And that's dangerous. And my dad, his willpower and his work ethic, I believe he fare well in any heavyweight era.
Sharif, before I let you go, just tell us what can we expect to see from you about the next 12 to 18 months.
A lot of fireworks. For the first time, with a promotional management agency that actually has me moving, so you can expect me to stay busy and expect me to just keep getting better and better, and expect me to take over 154. That's my weight class. So inshallah, I'll be at the top of the throne here shortly.
Well, we definitely look forward to keeping an eye on you throughout the rest of your career. We're also looking forward to that big fight at Madison Square Garden between your brother and Jake Paul, and hopefully maybe one day see you down here in the UK.
Yes, sir. Hopefully, and tell Logan, man, if he want it, he can get it too. We can do it August 6th. We can do it September 6th. We can do it October 9th. It don't matter. I'll stop Logan Paul, and Jake Paul is about to get stopped. So if he wants some revenge for his brother, tell him he can holler at C3. I got something for him.
That'd be entertaining. Two brothers versus another two brothers on the same card on the same night. Definitely want to tune
Be
into.
crazy, right?
All right, well, Sharif, listen, we thank you very much again, once again for your time, especially on a Sunday afternoon. Again,
No problem.
massive pleasure speaking to you. We look forward to speaking to you sometime in the future.
You too. The pleasure is mine. Thank you for having me, man. Anytime.
Sharif Hasim Rahman, thank you for talking to Lights Out.
Thank you.